Hi, this is Paul Woolverton with the Fayetteville Observer, and I'm with Samantha White of Fayetteville, and this is a video we're making for a project we're working on regarding prosecution of sexual assault in North Carolina and here in Fayetteville and Cumberland County. Samantha White is a victim of sexual assault, and she's going to discuss a bit about her experience and what she thinks this court system should be doing to help victims, and some of the work she does also to help victims. So if you could tell me a bit about what happened to you.
I'd like to call myself more of a survivor, I'd say. So in the beginning, I was 16 at the time, and my life was great. My parents, I went to Fuquay High School.
That's out near Raleigh,
Yes.
Fuquay High School.
It's a great place. And I was doing everything, I was in all the clubs and all the booster, everything. Everything was great. I did everything I wanted to do. My parents were very supportive. And life was going so well that they decided to take a cruise. During that cruise, they found places for all us to have different activities and different things to do because it was during spring break.
You went on the cruise with your family?
No. My parents went.
And you stayed home?
Me and my brother.
You and your brother stayed home?
Yes.
Okay.
But we're not the kids that, not to say we couldn't have been trusted, but we most likely would have done something that my mom didn't agree with. Okay. So.
All right.
She had to find stuff for us to do. So, so fast forward, we don't want to make it too long, but my pastor at the time was actually, he had legal guardianship of us, me and my brother, and he took advantage of that. I was raped at least 3 times, separate occurrences throughout the night. And then once I was able to get to a safe place and call my mom and talk to her, about it, she ended her trip, and her and my dad came home early, and I was taken to the hospital. Now that was not the same day, so the night/day that it happened, and then the next day, and then my mom came home that night. So it was like Saturday was when it happened. Sunday night was when she was able to come home.
Okay, so maybe about 24 to 36 hours of lag time.
Yeah, I'd say not exactly, maybe like 24, 25.
Okay.
Because she came home the next night. And then...
Had you reported to the police by this point?
No.
Okay.
I just wore the same clothes, and I just stayed confined, I'd say. I wasn't really sure what to do, so I just kind of like stayed to myself. And then, let's see. Okay, so my mom comes home. We go to the hospital. I did the rape kit. We did the check-in. All that stuff. A police officer then came out and talked to me about it. Because
and was this what law enforcement agency, if you remember?
He was a city police officer. For
Fuquay Varina?
Oh no. So the closest hospital. Fuquay doesn't have a hospital.
Okay. So
we went to Wake Med, and we actually got checked into the children's center. So I would have seen. I'm not sure if it's the Cary Police Department that goes to Wake Med or the Raleigh Police Department, but they're like right there together. Okay. So
law enforcement came to investigate.
Yes, he came and took a statement, and then after that they kind of finished up the rest of the rape kit, and then I waited. There was a sexual abuse advocate that was coming. My mom said that it was very important for me to talk to her, to see how I felt about everything, and kind of have someone to advocate for me. But I don't know, maybe she had a lot of cases that day, because I remember it took a long time for her to get there. It was about at least 2 hours that we were waiting there for her. And then I talked to her, and she was really nice. And it was nice that my parents gave me like the space. So they left out of the room whenever she came in and like talked to me and stuff. So it was really nice. She was a great comfort, well worth the wait. And then after that, we went home, and I'd say from there it was pretty much just waiting.
So did you ever, you said you spoke to a police officer, did you ever speak to a detective?
Yeah,
Okay.
After a while. It wasn't until later.
Oh, not the same day as you reported it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so how long, I guess it was during spring break when the assault took place, how long later did you get to a situation where you were going to court or when the case was going to get adjudicated?
A long time. So that happened when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually testify against him until college. By then I had moved to Fayetteville State, and I was at Fayetteville State.
Wait, so it went to a trial then? It wasn't a plea?
No, it went to a trial.
Went to trial. And so you were probably 18, 19 when you were testifying?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years, at least 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
to a trial.
At least.
And while you were waiting, did law enforcement or the prosecutor's office keep up with you? How was that?
No, I think I met a detective. He called. I remember answering the phone. He called the house phone.
Mm-hmm.
That time we had a house phone. And
A long time ago.
he called the house phone, and I happened to be home from school, and I was talking to him, and he was like, he introduced himself. He was very nice, and he asked if it was okay if he could come to the house to talk to us about what had happened. And then I was like, well, happened to what?
Oh.
You know, I'm like, what do you want to, I haven't done anything, you know, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, you didn't realize it was about your case?
No, but then he explained it to me, and I was like, and he was asking, you know, if he could talk about that, and then I said, oh yeah, that's me, you know, and I guess at that point maybe he thought he was talking to my mom or an adult,
yeah,
and
gotcha.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm the one. And he's like, oh okay, well, but then he said he needed to speak to my mom, you know, because I was a minor or whatever, and so my mom got on the phone and she was talking to him, and he came. He was maybe there about 30 minutes or so, and he really just asked that I retell him the story, and he took notes, and then he left.
Okay, and eventually it went to trial. What happened at the trial?
Well, at the trial, he was found guilty. I had to testify, you know, obviously, and we did a lot of, like, I guess we're skipping steps, so we gotta go back a little bit. There was an expert that I went and talked to, and she was really nice too. And she's an expert on I don't know how her title goes, but she does like semen and how it works.
Oh, the DNA testing.
Yeah, but so she does like the smears and stuff. And like she was an expert on that. So I talked to her. I also talked to a therapist, and I talked to her for a long time. Just try to get my mental life back together. So those two people testified at the trial too, which is why I went back a little bit. So they both testified, and then I testified, and then he testified or lied, but whatever. He was there, and then they also had an expert talk about his computer. Because there was a certain video that he asked me to watch, like during this whole thing. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So that they actually brought like an expert to talk about like the computer and stuff, and that person looked at the computer and was able to not say that video was watched at that time, which I'm sure he could have if they went that far with it, but just to show that those types of videos were watched very frequently by him.
On his computer, okay.
Yes.
And in that particular video, do you know if it was on that computer?
I don't know if it was saved or if it was like on the internet, but I do remember like he asked me to watch it, and when I watched the video, which it wasn't that long, maybe a minute or so, it kept like replaying.
Oh.
So it was very disturbing.
It's like a pornographic video?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was very disturbing, and
You were staying at his house while your parents were out of town?
No. That's what I said. We're kind of getting mixed up.
Okay.
So no, I was staying with my grandmother, and my brother was staying with one of his friends at their house. And with my grandmother, I was staying with her, and we weren't getting along because I wanted to go. One of my friends were going to the beach for a day or so, and I wanted to go with them. And my grandma was saying that my mom didn't say that I could go prior to her leaving. Well, I didn't ask her prior because you know your friends don't plan. They're like, we're going today, you know. So so I didn't have a chance to ask my mom prior to. So then now I'm asking her afterwards, and I'm trying to explain, and then so my grandma calls my mom. It's a big ordeal, and so eventually the the pastor is like, well, she can come stay with me and my wife, and he had a son and daughter, and his wife could take me to the mall, and all these lies. So then I got there, and there was no one there but him.
Huh.
Yeah. But then I also didn't have my phone, so I couldn't have called my mom back or called my grandma to be like, hey, come back and get me because this is weird. But
so he took advantage of what you're saying.
Yeah. So it was a constant ball of lies.
So wow. Well then, the trial, he was found guilty?
He was 18 to 24 years.
Oh, so he's still in prison now?
Yes.
Okay. Were there any other victims or survivors?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of survivors. So there was this. So my mom was getting letters, and people were coming up and talking to her, saying how brave I was and stuff. I never directly connected with any of them. That'd be a question you'd have to ask my mom per se. But there was a lady that my mom told me about that said that he had done the same type of thing to her whenever she was 18, their prom night or whatever. But she never had the push, I would say, to go to court.
Okay.
For me, it wasn't an option because I was 16, so it was the state versus him instead of me versus him. But even the DA, he was really understanding, and he was just telling me that you want to try to get him, so he doesn't keep doing this because he's a repeat. You're the only one to ever go to court, but he's done this several other times, and
so and this was in Johnston County, right? Now, and so the prosecutor was aware of other allegations against this guy?
What they were saying was there was other people who had said that he had done it, but no one actually ever went to court.
They never went.
And it was years later by the time they told someone, so there wasn't any evidence or anything like that.
Okay.
So I'm already on my way to go to court, but I didn't want to. Yeah. And so his way of, just hey, it'd be great if you could help me put him behind bars so he wouldn't do this to another person.
Wow. And that persuaded you? Yeah. Why didn't you want to go to court?
Because he'd be there.
You didn't want to be with him again?
No, I didn't want to be near him again.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. So it must have been really difficult.
Oh, yeah. 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 It sucked.
Gosh. How did you get through it?
I cried a lot. And then it was also weird because, I'm in college now, and that was something that I had tried to leave behind me. And then, to be gone for, I think it was about 2 or 3 days for my testimony and stuff, I had to tell
explain to teachers,
my professors what happened,
That wasn't comfortable?
No, very, the whole thing was very uncomfortable.
Well, yeah. So then, but in the end he was convicted. When the jury came back with the verdict and the judge issued the sentence, what was that like for you?
I really thought I was gonna get something from that. I don't know, I felt like I would get relief or I didn't get that.
Just was done?
Well, no, I mean, I still had the nightmares. I signed up for this thing, which I know was probably, they had good intentions, but it was really scary. The advocacy place has they'll let you know when he moves or when he's getting ready to get out or something like that. And I had signed up for it, and so I was getting these postcards all the time. He was constantly moving.
You mean from prison to prison?
And so you get one every time.
Huh.
And he moved a lot.
Okay.
At least 4 or 5 times. And I remember getting overwhelmed, I can't take this anymore. So I unsubscribed from that. But no, I didn't. For me, I think it was just knowing that he wouldn't hurt anyone else for at least 18 years. Okay. But it didn't help my mental healing at all.
And in court, he testified. Did he deny everything, or what?
Yeah.
He said nothing happened, is what he was saying.
Yeah, his exact, and I'll never forget. I was sitting by now I'm sitting behind the what do you call it, prosecution, the lawyers, and me and my mom are sitting here, and he's up there, and he's like, "No, I just made barbecue the whole day," and I'm just like, "What?" his testimony it was so laughable. Like
But they had DNA on him. How did he explain that?
He said that I used it from an old condom that he had.
Huh. Okay. Well, he's gone now.
I was like, it was so funny. Like, it was almost like, you know how you, I don't know if you've ever, well, college, high school, whatever, you don't have time to write your paper, you throw something together at the last minute, and it's just not even fathomable. Like, you know, it's just like, what? But that was what he stuck to.
Now, when you testified, did his lawyer cross-examine you?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me, was that challenging? Was it difficult?
I got angry. Yeah. Because I felt like, you know, like, I know what I'm saying is the truth, you know, and how dare you defend him? Now, I know that's the guy's job, you know, now that I'm older, but in that moment, it's like, how dare you defend him? How dare you ask me stupid questions? Questions that have nothing to do with the reason that we're here today. And then, like I said, they were just like, okay, so for instance, there was a letter that I wrote, and I wrote it during therapy, and the therapist, the way she explained it to me was just to write a letter, you know, explain what happened, and then use that letter, you know, print it. So I typed it, and then print it, and then release it.
It's like a letter to yourself, or?
Yeah, a letter. Well, no, it was more of like a letter of what happened, but telling it to her.
Okay.
It was very hard in the beginning for me to even explain or give details of what happened.
Hard because it was emotionally difficult?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I was having like really bad nightmares. And so the letter, she said it didn't have to be descriptive, but, and I'm sure she had like the case and stuff, but for me to be able to get it out and kind of give that to her. So that letter I provided to her, not knowing that later on it would be used against me. Like they tried to use it against me in court, and so what he was saying was some of the details that I said on the stand were not the same as like what I wrote in the letter. Like they weren't there. And I was like, well, I mean, when I started therapy, I didn't know I was going to trial, and I didn't know that like it would be Exhibit D or whatever letter it was. I was just simply trying to get that off my chest so the therapist could even help me, because I can't say it, you know.
Right.
Well, I couldn't at that time. And so that was one of his things, was like, well, you said that he did this, but it's not in there. And I was like, well, I didn't know that's what you were going to use it for, you know. And then even the therapist, when she talked to me about it, she was just like, you know, that's not what it was intended for, but all of those things have to be given, you know.
Discovery.
Yeah.
Well, so you didn't want to go to court, but in the end you did, and he was convicted. I mean, are you glad that you ultimately chose to do that?
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm glad that he won't be able to mess with anyone or touch anyone or rape anyone for at least 18 years. I highly doubt he'll learn a lesson there, but I am glad that it has, you know, stopped him from that.
The way the law enforcement and the prosecutor's office and the other people you interacted with, how they handled your case, do you have was there anything that you disliked how they did it, or any suggestions you have maybe to do things differently or better?
I would say, as far as the rape kit collection, I would say it could be more compassionate. It's a lot of like ripping and things that they have to take from you, and I think to have something taken from you after everything has been taken from you, it's a very delicate time. So I would say it could have been a little nicer, a little bit more compassionate. I would say that the police officer, he was uncomfortable, and I could tell that, but he also wasn't like compassionate either. The detective, I would say the same. However, my DA was, I mean, he was very, very compassionate.
He probably does a lot of these cases.
Yes, and he had an assistant DA too, and she was like a rock star. They ended up I had to tell the story again, you know, obviously. And so whenever I was telling it to them, they were both, you know, like holding my hand and hugging me and just making sure that like I felt like I was in a safe place. And I know like law enforcement, it's not their job to touch you or anything like that, but it could have been more secure feeling, you know.
Do you think you would have been more comfortable with female officers and detectives, or did that make a difference?
I think so. I think as women, we feel more comfortable with other women anyways, you know, but also to have gone through that, like literally 24 hours ago, it would have been nice, yeah.
Now, since then you've graduated from college, you moved on with your life, and you're now... Twice? You got 2 degrees?
Yes.
Fantastic, okay.
Yes.
And you're a certified professional coach?
Yes, sir.
Which is coaching people with their lives, right?
Yes. So I actually, the reason I said twice is because I have my master's degree.
Oh, you do? Okay.
In developmental psychology, which is pretty much the study of like how the brain works and why people do different things.
Did you pursue that due to your experience?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've actually like, it has completely changed my life in a negative way, and there's also like a positive way. I didn't really know what I wanted to be growing up, you know, a chef or a lawyer or anything cool that I saw on TV. But this really changed my life to know exactly what I want to do. So what I ended up doing is I started my own company in 2017, and I help women with mental and emotional issues and any kind of emotional pain, and I just help them find peace in themselves. And so I came from that, you know, horrible experience to being here every day, just trying to help other women find a little bit of peace each day.
And what's your company called?
Console Positivity.
And it's here in Fayetteville?
Yes, but it's actually virtual, so over the phone or video.
Okay. And some of the people you work with have been through similar experiences? Yes.
And some of them, you know, are just unorganized, and as women we can organize everybody else, but we can't organize ourselves for some reason.
Gotcha.
So some of them are just unorganized. Some of them have been through a grave tragedy, and then, you know, everything in between.
And you try to help them?
Yes,
just so you give them guidance, or?
Yes, it's a Christian organization, so we pray together, and we read scriptures together, and I walk with you. You know, it's a transition, like anything else in life, and for me, I find that just getting that from them, like, you know, today I woke up and I didn't have nightmares. That is a humongous milestone. Like, I had that for years, at least 6. Yeah, and to see him, you know, all the time.
He's when you have the nightmares, he's in the nightmares?
Yeah, he is the nightmare. Yeah.
Okay.
He is the nightmare.
But that's getting less frequent now.
Yeah. Oh, I don't have them anymore.
Gotcha.
But what I'm saying is, whenever I get that feedback from other women.
From your clients, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So because I remember what it felt like to go through that, those nightmares, and then for them not to have them.
Yes.
It's a major milestone.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say that I didn't ask you about?
I would like to say that I'm very thankful to everyone who helped in my process. You know, from the DA, who was amazing. My mom still sends him fruit baskets. Down to the detective coming out, and especially to Miss Amy Molds. She works at she actually owns Lifescapes Counseling, which is in Apex, I do believe. She was my therapist during that time. And she was very, very caring. She even allowed me to like text her at night whenever I felt like I was losing it. To my parents, who supported me and actually believed me, you know, because he was their pastor too. They didn't have to.
That must have been challenging for them.
Yeah, they didn't have to believe, you know.
Such an important figure. You know, you're like, this is your church every Sunday.
Yeah, and we had been going there since I was about 6. Yeah. So we've been going there a long time. So I'd like to thank them for even listening to me, and I'm happy to be here and be who I am, and and thank my husband.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay. For supporting me and being here.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Samantha. This is Paul Woolverton for the Fayetteville Observer.